Hey guys, welcome back. This is Dr. McAndrew. Sorry to leave you guys hanging for so long. Been working on some other things, but I wanted to get back to it. It's been on my mind because there's students that aren't being protected. There's students that are at risk, and no one else is going to go through what I went through. I'm going to make sure of that. So it starts with bringing awareness to what's going on behind closed doors, some of the negative things, the unprofessional things. And then figuring out what we can do in a positive direction, that we can move optometry as a profession somewhere better, somewhere away from the Min-House type thinkers and the Higa type thinkers that are doing the wrong thing and they're in it for the wrong reasons, and they're just lower level. So we're going to go in on Higa in a second. But I want to first start with I want to make an analogy, because this is just something I've been thinking about, and it's not going to make sense right off the bat, but by this point I think you guys know I like to make analogies because it can help to sort of illustrate the point that I'm trying to make. So imagine this with me for a second here. Imagine there's a young up-and-coming mailman in training, and he's at like the mailman training center, whatever it is that they have to go through. He's in some kind of training period, whatever it is, and he's got his bag of mail, and he goes down the street and he puts the mail in the appropriate mailbox, okay? All down the street. Then at the end of the street, he's still got a few more blocks to go, but at the end of that street, he gets stopped by the preceptors and the principal of the mail academy, and they say, "Hey, you may not have met any of us before, but we put our heads together and we decided you're not going to be successful at this, so why don't you explain yourself right now?" And the mailman says, "Won't be successful? Look, you can look at these houses that I put the mail in already, and you can check, and you can see if it's in there, if the right mail is in the right mailbox, and that's what this job is. So that's it." And there's no arguing with that. "Oh, well, we don't think so. That doesn't matter. Logic doesn't mean anything here. 1 + 1 = avocado toast. Whatever we say goes. You're not being professional. That's the problem. You're not thinking like a mailman. That's the problem. It doesn't matter that you can do the job perfectly fine. We, that you've never met before or talked to before, we think we've got you all figured out, and you're not gonna be successful, even though you've done nothing up until this point that leads us to believe that." So I know you may not immediately see the connection between that and what's going on at Salus, but just keep that story in mind, the story of the young mailman. And then let's move forward into Laine. Let's go in on Laine Higa a little bit. Laine Higa, the Shiga, as I like to call him. So Laine was the absolute biggest proponent of just trying to take me down, trying to take my legs out from under me, trying to just absolutely make sure that he did anything he could to try to keep me out, try to deny me success. I'm trying to better my life. He's trying to worsen my life. I mean, for sure. And before we get into it, just know, guys, I get it. I know a lot of people jump to conclusions and, "Oh, that's the classic student thing. This person's out to get me." That's what every bad student. Not the case, guys. That's what Laine is trying to rely on. He's trying to rely on you guys thinking that. But no, Laine is 100% in the wrong, and I'm 100% in the right, and there's just no arguing. So we're going to lay out the facts. So first of all, as something sort of to illustrate Laine's character, I want to tell you guys another story, and this is not a metaphor, this is a true story, something that Laine does. So Laine considers himself an expert in dry eye, which is just so laughable and silly, and it's something that you'll see repeated, taking advantage of people that aren't in the know, so to speak, because to someone who maybe isn't in optometry, you might think, "Oh, that's great, there should definitely be a dry eye expert." But if you're actually in optometry, like, dryness is just such a basic component of the eye that every optometrist is a dry eye expert. It's just so silly that he's trying to push himself as this expert in dry eyes. Anyway, point being, so he does this thing If he gets a patient where he's not able to relieve them, they keep complaining, and he can't figure out what to do, he starts lying. So this is what I was kind of hinting at before we're going to start getting into here. He'll do this trick. Ready? We have these like antiseptic cleaning wipes. They look like moist naps or moist towelettes or whatever, but they're like alcohol wipes to wipe down the equipment and everything before we see patients. But what Laine was doing is he would have a patient close their eyes and then rub an alcohol wipe on the outside of their eyelids, and then while their eyes were still closed, he would wipe the alcohol wipes like on the ground and get them all dirty looking, and then he would tell the patient, open your eyes, and he would show them the dirty wipes and say, look, I cleaned this all out of your eyes. I've cured you now. So I don't know, that smells like bullshit to me, Laine. That doesn't smell like a professional, appropriate medical procedure. Is that board approved? Because I don't see how wiping alcohol wipes on their eyelids and then on the ground is cleaning their eyes and somehow helping them with their dryness. If anything, it's probably going to make dryness worse. I mean, really, it's probably going to do nothing, but really, like wiping alcohol on their eyelids. And so it may seem little, it may seem like I'm being a little bit harsh, but it illustrates something. I want you guys to think about what it illustrates about Laine's character, about how he'll say whatever if he thinks he can get away with it, he'll say something, and also in the way he looks at other people, the way that he just thinks you're stupid, you won't know, I can just say whatever, I can just tell you whatever, I'm smarter, I'm elite, I'm up here, I'm super Laine, and I'm smarter than you, and if you're not a doctor, then you're an idiot. So it's just something, I would never lie to a patient like that. Like if I was having trouble treating a patient's dryness and doing everything I could, you just have to be honest with them about it and let them know, and this is what we're doing, and we're doing as much as we can, and here are other options that we can move on to, and we've exhausted everything, and it's still dry, and it's just going to be a constant battle that we're fighting. And that's how you deal with it. You don't do this fake bullshit. And then Laine's like so proud of himself. He's like showing this off to students. Oh, look, here's a trick. Look how you can lie to people. Look, you can just lie right to their face. So this is the same guy that just, everything was his hearsay. Everything that I was like accused of, there was never anything tangible that I really did. It was always Laine's hearsay of like, oh, this student is unprofessional. And he would take something that I think I was kind of hinting at before, and I'll probably get into a little bit more today. This day where I was just sort of sitting in a chair studying my notes, and I had the lights a little bit dim, and he saw that and and didn't address it to me. Like, he did talk to me, but it was in this very accusatory, like, aha, I've already caught you, you're supposed to be here today, and he's just like barking these questions at me, but it's not trying to get to truth and reason. It's how I'm going to try to nail you for something. I caught you here, I caught you, how am I going to spin this? So then, and he doesn't tell me that he's going to like report me, because obviously I know he's going to, because I just know Laine, but there's no reason. Like, I was sitting in a chair, I was literally just sitting in a chair. I checked in to clinic, I was in clinic that day, and it was a Saturday, and I'm actually going to get into the story later. It's kind of a long story, because I was only there because of bullshit with Laine. It was a day I was not supposed to be there, but so I'm already pissed off when I'm in there. I go in, I check in, the floater tells me you're in room 9. I say, all right, I'll be in there. I go in room 9, I'm sitting there, I'm reading my notes. Next thing I know, Dr. Kenny's at the door going, oh my God, what's going on here? Are you supposed to be here today? Don't move, don't go anywhere. And then she goes away, and then Laine comes back, and it's the same kind of shit. And then I go, and then I see a patient, and they're acting like this big panic, and oh, we didn't know you were here. And I'm like, well, I checked in, you fucking retards. You should have looked at the, sorry for that. I didn't mean to offend anyone who's mentally, but you guys know what I mean. You fucking jackasses is what I should have said. Sorry, you fucking jackasses. You should have looked at the chart where I signed in. You could have talked to the floater, because it doesn't work at clinic. Like, it doesn't. The students don't go to the preceptor and say like, "Hey, I'm here, present and accounted for." They just sign in. I was in the room. If they had walked by and looked in, I was in there. I was waiting to see a patient. But what happened was, they projected something onto me that wasn't true. Kenny and Laine, Higa, the Shiga, kind of got this. Oh, you're trying to avoid seeing a patient here. And it's like, no, I'm just sitting here, I'm studying my notes. I don't feel like sitting in the team room talking to you, so I'm in here reading my notes, trying to make use of my time, because this is a day that I should have been off anyway. And I've got a test tomorrow or something, or on Monday or whatever. And so I get home, and then of course I get called in from Dr. Parisi, Dean of Students or whatever. And it's just, Laine went to her and he didn't say, I caught this student sitting in the chair studying his notes, and the lights weren't on full illumination, and that's my issue, is because in the student handbook 37C it says students aren't allowed to touch the dimmer switch or something. No, he didn't do that. He puts it on his slant. Oh, this so unprofessional. He was like hiding in the shadows, trying to avoid seeing a patient. And it's like, well, you don't know what's in my mind. You like, and I saw a patient. That's the other thing. I saw a patient. They were like, you need to see a patient. And I'm like, okay, like, no problem. Give me the patient. That's what I'm here for. And I saw a patient, and then it was still like I was punished as if I had like avoided seeing patients or something, or I was trying to avoid seeing a patient. And again, it was a projection from someone who was this liar type of person. And Kenny, I don't know where you're coming from, but you got involved. You took a shot at me, Kenny. But Laine was there too. And they projected this idea that I was, doing something bad, doing something evil in some way. That it was a crisis. It was an emergency. It was, put a stop to me, or else the world's gonna come to an end and it's gonna be bad. And all they had to do was say, hey, you patient here, and I'd say, hey, okay, I'll see a patient. And like I said, that's what happened. I did still see a patient, and then I still got punished afterwards. And it was like this, okay, you didn't do anything wrong, but we're gonna make something up. We're gonna, project something wrong onto you. And they did it multiple times, and then it came down to Parisi telling me, one more time, if Laine says boo again, we won't have a choice but to fail you. And it's this constant, like, you can't talk to me like I'm stupid. What do you mean you don't have a choice? First of all, I'm pissed off because it's like, well, I can't control what Laine does. Laine controls his body. So if Laine says boo, that doesn't mean that my 20 years of education building up to this just goes away because Laine decided he wanted to say boo. And again, it's someone who like doesn't really know me. He's just kind of taking in some impression that he has from a distance. So she tells me that if he says boo, we'll fail you. And not only that, but we won't have a choice. So it's like, well, who's holding a gun to your head? What do you mean you won't have a choice? Like, words have meaning. Like, words have to have meaning, or else it's asinine. And I actually brought a dictionary out because I want to look up the word asinine for you guys, because I don't know if everyone knows what that means. I think a lot of people have an idea of what it means, but I don't know if you know the actual dictionary definition. So this is Merriam-Webster's. It's actually a dictionary and thesaurus, so that's perfect because we can get some synonyms as well. And let's see if you guys think that there should be any asinine behavior going on with the staff. Because it was the whole thing where I didn't agree that anything I did was unprofessional, but Laine kept going to that buzzword, unprofessional, it's unprofessional. Hey, Dr. Parisi, do you think a student should be unprofessional? Dr. Gerwood, do you think someone should be unprofessional? And it's like, well, when you phrase it like that, obviously everyone's going to say, no, a student shouldn't be unprofessional. If someone's being professional, let's take it serious. But what he doesn't do is say, oh, this student was just sitting there and I came up and I was the one making a big fuss about things. Didn't say that, and I had to deal with all the bullshit, all the fallout, and I was going through all their shit at the time, so it just wasn't something I was willing to deal with. So sorry, I'm getting worked up, and I think I went past the page here. Asinine. Okay, here we go. Okay, we got it here. So asinine, it's an adjective. Ready for this, guys? Extremely or utterly foolish. Asinine. Think about that. Is that something that a staff member should be bringing? And especially someone who's so big on like talking down to other people, and you're stupid, and students who aren't at my level are stupid, and patients are stupid, and I can just lie and say anything. Should that be the person that's also extremely or utterly foolish? I don't think so. So get them the hell out of here. So like I said, this is also a thesaurus. So let me tell you some synonyms for asinine. According to Merriam-Webster here, synonyms for asinine include absurd, crazy, cuckoo, fatuous, not sure if I'm saying that right, foolish, mad, nonsensical, nutty, senseless, silly, and stupid. And guess what? It says more under foolish. So I'm not going to look that up, but there's even more words for it. So that's the dictionary. That's not coming from me. That's coming straight from Merriam-Webster. If you got a problem with that, you contact Merriam-Webster. So Laine's in there acting like a complete asinine jackass. And then, so I'm like, okay, well, at least I can explain myself. Maybe someone else will be reasonable. And I'm trying to explain that it's like, okay, I was sitting in a chair. This Laine guy has been going after me over and over and over again, and I don't agree with this. And Dr. Parisi's doing this, well, if you point a finger at Laine, you're pointing 3 at yourself. And it's like, you're not even listening. You're not considering anything I'm saying. And what would happen is I would get called in to Parisi, and I would have to sit with her and, like, the chief of, like, the suite or whatever, and some other elder, and it would be all people that, like, had nothing to do with the situation or no knowledge of it, and are like, they just heard Laine's total slant from it, and they're coming in like ready to kill me already. Like, we're ready to kick you out of school. Laine's convinced us you're just the worst there is. And then so I would be like, okay, well, let's go through it and I'll explain it, and it would be something where I thought that I could be reasonable, and I would try to do some give and take. I'd be like, look, I'm not the perfect student. Yeah, there probably was a day where I came in at 8:01 instead of 8 o'clock, and Dr. Priest would write that down, and she would ignore 10 minutes of me like, but Laine is doing this and that, and it's like, I don't agree with this kind of stuff, and she would ignore just 10 minutes of me talking and write down anytime I said the slightest like give, like, we're gonna write that, I think I can get you for something here. And they were so big on trying to put a case together, trying like, you haven't really did anything wrong, but we're gonna, we want to get you out, so we're gonna, 8:01. That's one thing. Let's see what. Oh, the lights weren't on full. Let's get you, put that together. Oh, look, this is starting to become a list here. This is starting to become a list of things. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just an asinine list, asinine. And everyone says, oh, just it's over now. You got the degree. Let it go. You're working now, and. No, absolutely not. Imagine being raped and then, like, people telling you, "Oh, that happened in the past, so that's it. You don't get to speak up about it. Just let the rapist go. They didn't rape you today, did they? So who cares?" So students don't need to go through it. It was such a detriment to my learning. Like, I was so happy to be there. Like, I'm someone who just naturally likes to learn. Which I think I was kind of talking about this last time, is like, I don't fake it, so maybe there was some sense, oh, he's not being pretentious enough, he's not like trying, he's being too raw, and we think you have to fake it because people hate learning, right? So we had to like act all fake to like, but for me it's like, no, whatever, like, give me the stuff, I'm here because I want to be here, and I'll be fine. It's just not a thing. Like, I'm not having issues. Back to the males in the mailbox story, I've seen all these patients, it's not an issue, I'm not having issues. So why are you projecting this on me? Why is this? No, you won't be successful. We're gonna pull you out. You don't ask a question here. You don't ask a question at this school. And so the thing with it is that I went through like all of clinic, just like a freaking year and a half, just months and months and months of just wasting time, just being in there when I should have been like each and every time like excited to learn more and more. And instead it's like you're just trying to hide, trying to not to get noticed. Sorry, I heard like a knock or something. Trying not to get noticed, because if you say anything, you get reported. If you ask a question, you get reported. The concern at the school is not what your experience is as a student. It's not if you're learning anything. It is an ego fest for the staff, and that's it. So just understand that as a student. If you're thinking about going there, don't think that you're going there to have any kind of learning experience. This is like a place to play politics. And that, that's pretty much it. It's a bad school. It's a very bad school. But we can do better. We can move forward. There's a lot of good people in optometry. And it just comes down to people speaking up, like what I'm doing now, for what's right. Because if you don't, it becomes like sort of another analogy. Like, it kind of reminds me of back in like I don't know, 50 years ago or whatever, where at like country clubs, there would be like rules about no black people allowed. But they wouldn't say it. It was just, wink, wink, nod, nod. We know there's no black people out here. We don't need to say anything. It goes without saying. But that didn't make it right. And it's the same kind of thing now, where it's like, well, we don't like this student just something about the way he is. He's perfectly capable of doing the job. He's gone through 20 plus years of schooling. He's made the sacrifices. He's done everything. He's like seen the patients. But we're just, he's not one of us. Yeah. So there was too much concern, and Laine went back to the well too many times. That's another saying that I don't know if you guys know, but it means like, I don't have a problem with the fact that he might have not liked me and brought something to my attention, but his ultimate goal and motivation wasn't to do that, to bring something to my attention and say, hey, here's something I don't like, let's try to work on that. It was, ooh, I see an opportunity for drama, I see an opportunity to get someone kicked out, I see an opportunity to chop someone down. It wasn't, I see something I like, so let me try to help you. It was, I see something I don't like, so let me do me now. Let me have some juice, and let me try to go after you and cut you down and see. I'll report you. I'll make something up. I don't care. So it wasn't a learning experience. I spent like $250,000 or whatever it was. I went through, after college, it wasn't this horrible experience. I didn't have this bad relationship. I was still, like, I loved it. I loved the learning. I still have my college textbooks. And I would, like, even after college, I would, like, read through, like, re-go over things or get to things we hadn't gotten to yet, because I just loved learning new stuff. But at Salus, like, going through that, it was like, I don't ever want to look at a contact lens again, even though I have to do it every day. I don't want to ever have anything to do with optometry. And at some point, I probably will move away from it, but right now I have to deal with it because I have the loans. So I just don't think there's a reason for it. Why, like, what's the point of putting out students that are so disgruntled that they don't enjoy what they're doing? I think it's bad, and I don't think that there's a place for it. I don't think there's a place for Higa or Brandwas Minhouse anywhere in this world. So that's it for now, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.